90% accuracy is what we found in the first audit of this channel for the first 3 months of our existence when it comes to rumors and scoops that we brought out to each and every one of you. Lauren Connor and Culture Casino sat down and went through every single thing we said was going to happen, and 90% of the time it did happen. Today we're wrapping that up, going through the remaining rumors for the year 2023 to see how I did, as well as showing each and every one of you out there what we think were the biggest scoops the channel ever had. Can we actually keep you ahead of the culture curve? Do we really know what we're doing? Do we leak well on this channel? We'll dive into it right now. Hello folks, welcome back to the WDW Pro channel. What a joy to have you here with us as we prepare to wrap up 2023, say farewell and move to 2024. It is going to be a phenomenal year, I hope, for each and every one of you out there. A video of excellence on the way, so strap in. Lauren Connor, Culture Casino, welcome back both of you to this final audit of 2023. How are you guys?
Doing real good. Happy to be here.
I'm fantastic. We're opening up a new year here soon. I'm very excited.
That's right. Break out the confetti, folks, and let's dive straight in. All right, we wound up last time with Lauren talking about the big rumors and scoops and the Nintendo Cinematic Universe and all of these big things that we broke, the Harry Potter rebrand and reboot. Now we are into a time when rumors and scoops became much less and more difficult to do because of the Hollywood strikes. And so what happened was that as the Hollywood strikes began, we couldn't really tell many scoops and rumors and leaks because they were subject to change as soon as the strike was over. So that really made us switch into more of an analytical channel. But here's what we've got. Guys, you judge us as we go into this. 8 months ago is where we began. Disney's Marvel MCU is off the rails as they try to figure out what to do with Jonathan Majors. Gentlemen, we just had news recently about Kevin Feige and the meetings they were having. Is this one that was true at the time?
Yep, absolutely.
Not only true, but very kind of predictive of what could happen and did.
Add it to the list then and say, okay, good. All right, here we go, guys. Moving right along. Too White is the rumored Frontierland redo at Disney World's Magic Kingdom, all about woke ideas. This gets into how they were worried about the cowboy motif at Frontierland. They need to change it. Now we, of course, have seen what Tiana's Rainforest Cafe Adventure replacing Splash Mountain looks like. Gentlemen, is this corroborated now or perhaps a little bit too far?
I don't recall. I remember when this story came out, but I don't remember hearing a whole lot about it afterwards. Has there been any other movement on making changes there that we've heard about since?
The only thing, Lauren, and that's a great question. The only thing is that we have heard that money is so tight that the planned change of Pecos Bill's into a New Orleans-style restaurant may be delayed at this time. And I would suspect that the negative backlash is also going to impact them. All of that said, at the time this came out, we did not know that a mural was going to be put onto Tiana's Rainforest Cafe Adventure that would be done by someone with a militant past of a racial variety. And so that is why, to me, but now, gentlemen, you override me if you so feel. But that's why, to me, this seems like it actually was true. We did not yet know at the time, of course, some of the people in the politics that were being brought in.
Well, I'd say it's true with more to come. Lauren, I don't know about you.
Yeah, I would guess so. I would put this in. I think it's hard to put some like this that kind of didn't really move beyond the rumor stage into the confirmed category. But I think this definitely fits into plausible, and I would not be the least bit surprised if, as you said, they continue to move in this direction going forward.
Now, for everybody out there, the way these ground rules work is, if it's not absolutely confirmed, we drop it into the plausible. It's not yet confirmed, and so that's what we'll do with this one. Let's go down now. Disney versus DeSantis. Did Walt Disney World miss important legal steps, now ripping off Universal ideas for money? This goes back to before we had the stuff about the Reedy Creek Improvement District and everything that was going on with some of the major legal issues there. We were getting word that they had made some errors when it came to the dissolution of it and the handoff to Siftod. Gentlemen, did this actually come to be confirmed that Disney really has some legal problems there?
Yeah.
Yep.
Understatement of the year. Little did we know how big this one would get. All right, Kathleen Kennedy gambles big with Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny. The runtime and budget are records. So this is when we broke the news that the runtime was going to be longer than any Indiana Jones film ever before, and that the budget was completely out of control. Valiant Renegade would later come out with his report that the budget was in excess of $300 million, and we still don't know the actual final tally. We'll get that in about 4 months out of the UK government with tax filings.
Yep.
Confirmed or unconfirmed, guys?
Well, I think it's confirmed plus, because I think the budget's going to be about 100 million more than we even thought it was. I don't know. What do you think, Lauren?
Yeah. I think this went over budgeted in just about every way it possibly could.
Yeah.
If you told me now that this thing was at $500 million, I'd believe it. I don't know what it's going to wind up at, but if you told me $500 million production budget, I'd say, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I'll go with that, because they have no sense. Victoria Alonso defeats Disney. Scorned Marvel exec gets multi-million-dollar settlement during layoffs. We had heard this, gentlemen. I don't know if you all can confirm it. I think it is true, but what do you guys? Did you ever hear anything that confirmed this?
Not confirming that a settlement was made, but I knew that the legal action was in process, and so I don't know if they actually did settle with her or not. But
so I just looked it up out of Deadline. Disney settles with former Marvel exec Victoria Alonso.
Yep,
that does seem to have come to pass.
Does it say what should they settled for?
Let's find out. I bet it does not. Multi-million is all it says.
Yeah, that's all it says.
$multi-million.
Yep. That was an accurate statement.
Okay, we're going to confirm that one then. And continuing right along, folks, here we go. Harry Potter beating Star Wars with 5 times the online interest. Exclusive new data says yes. Guys, do we think that Harry Potter was, and this comes from sort of when the video game was big, do we think that Harry Potter was actually 5 times more popular than Star Wars in 2023?
I think this is more accurate reporting than it is speculation.
Yeah, without question.
I'm not going to add this one to the list if that's okay with you, gentlemen.
No,
okay, so I think Culture's right. I think this is more in fact, I would say this doesn't even belong on the rumor and leak playlist, because I think you're exactly right. You could look this data up back then and figure that out. So we leave it where it is. All right, not adding it to the tally whatsoever. Luke Skywalker put away behind the scenes of Kathleen Kennedy's alleged attempt to sideline Favreau. Gentlemen, I think Favreau is sidelined. I think Luke Skywalker, well, we found out that months later, Mark Hamill said he wasn't going to reprise Luke Skywalker. I think all of this looks good to me, but what do you say?
Well, Luke Skywalker was put away. Well, he forced too hard and faded away. But I think that that Favreau was definitely sidelined, since they put Cowboy Bill out there as the leader of the pack now. Right.
Dave Filoni is now the creative head of everything Lucasfilm, and Jon Favreau is still a third-party individual who contracts with Lucasfilm, but he has no official role there. So I don't see how you could see this as anything other than true. But Lauren, am I right or wrong?
Yeah, I remember this discussion because it's the one that made me angriest last year. I think this is the one where I lost my temper and said some things that were a little bit intemperate.
And then the cowboy hat did indeed get an official office at the highest levels of Lucasfilm. So I apologize, Lauren.
Yeah, he sure did. And don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking the cowboy hat. I usually rock one myself. So, but the individual under the hat, I may take some issue with.
Disney loses in Florida big, as Universal Studios may be planning a big Zelda expansion in Orlando. Gentlemen, I think that's still plausible, but not yet confirmed. What say you?
I think that's fair.
Culture, have you heard otherwise?
I think we're definitely going to put a pin in that, because it's definitely still there and waiting.
I think we'll be able to confirm this in the next 6 months.
I think you're right. I think maybe 4 months, but yeah.
Fix Star Wars demanded by big box retailers. Has Disney finally gotten the message after failures? This was, I think, the first time that we talked about the upcoming toy-pocalypse that Hasbro was facing with Star Wars, and Hasbro has now had its stock just slammed, and it's fired a third of its employees.
Yes.
Gentlemen, right or wrong?
Go ahead.
It depends on which part are we confirming. Are we confirming that the big box retailers demanded that Disney fix Star Wars, or are we confirming that Disney did fix Star Wars?
Well, that's a great question. So if we're confirming that that the big box retailers put out a demand, it's going to be very difficult for us to corroborate that. If we are confirming that the big box retailers saw major problems and those problems came to fruition, that I think is much easier. But you guys decide how far we want to push that line. Where should this land?
The reason that I would call this confirmed is that even before this, before we're talking about Hasbro and the action figure retailers, you were hearing from the head of Gentle Giant Studios, which used to do massive stuff with their sculptures and maquettes and such. So I think that they've been sounding the alarm for quite some time, and that's across all of the licensees. So I would call this confirmed and not plausible, but that's how I would take it.
Culture, any thoughts on that one?
I think that's the safest manner forward. Is we find out that we can corroborate this with some of the people that spoke about it before. We had at this point in time, and this is 8 months ago. We'd heard a statement from a toy executive that stated publicly to others in the industry that they were they said, "Is this something that you really want? Do we really need these toys?" Because they didn't have data to support that. I think that we can read a lot into that, but I would like to see some actual data. So I'm gonna put a pin in this and say I don't know that we know either way.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's move on then. We have Disney sues DeSantis, the governor of Florida, hit by a Mickey Mouse lawsuit, but the reason may shock. That one was covering the lawsuit regarding the First Amendment and retaliation. I don't know how that one to me doesn't feel very much like a rumor or scoop. I don't remember now why that was put into the
reporting. I think
I'm good with just skipping that one. There may be a rumor or scoop in that video that perhaps we should cover, but we'd have to watch every single one of these to their max to go back and figure out exactly why every single one of them landed here. The ones that are obvious, we'll cover that. Dropping down, critics exposed again by Peter Pan and Wendy. Audiences say 20%. Critics like it more than Mario. Now this, in hindsight, because most people don't even remember that Peter Pan and Wendy was a thing, this is not necessarily, in my mind, a rumor, but this is just indicative of the slime and the despair of the industrial, what would you say, the elitists of Hollywood. The fact that they liked Peter Pan and Wendy better than Mario. I bet we're not getting a sequel to Peter and Pan and Wendy, and I bet we are getting an NCU. But I don't know that we put this in any category right now. What do you guys think?
I don't think we put it in a category, but I would say I agree with it wholly.
Good Lord. Good Lord, how bad can it be? Remember that, folks. Remember that in the next year. The reviewers, before they got the message, before the memo hit them, hey, Disney's in free fall, jump ship. The PR machine meant that they had to rate Peter Pan and Wendy higher than Mario because, you didn't want to anger the mouse back then.
Right, but two things. Peter Pan has now made it officially, as of 2 days from now, into the public domain, or will this year, and in 2024, I should say. And what was the second part of that? Because it was pertinent too. Grace said that Mario would be out of theaters by Friday.
All right, easy on Grace. Grace, we sometimes you have hot takes, and sometimes they.
It's true, but you have to come back and own them. I mean, I'm
so
sorry.
Bad. It's so bad. All right, Luke, Leia, and Han. Lucasfilm's secret cobwebbed cameo master plan returns fans to Star Wars. Gentlemen, we have not seen a cameo, but I would argue that this remains plausible because we haven't seen much from Star Wars, and we probably won't see much in the coming year. But this still remains plausible in my mind. But if you guys think that we should put this as the first of this video in the debunked category, I'm happy to put it there.
Yeah, I don't lend any credence to this anymore. I think that they will dig their heels in and do absolutely everything possible to not show the original characters again. They are that dug in.
Culture?
Unfortunately, Pro, I'm sorry. I'm with Lord on this one. I think that I think that with the Acolyte coming out, I would say no, they did not get the message.
And the Acolyte, we just did a scoop on the Acolyte in the last month. It's worse than, I mean, it's worse than anything I could have come up with. It's the Parent Trap meets Arcane. It's unimaginably stupid.
I'll make one caveat to this, and that is I wouldn't put it past them to try and bring Leia in again. I think that they might do that if they have the blessing of the rest of the family. They used her daughter to portray her in The Rise of Skywalker. I could see them trying to do that again because that goes to the message that they're trying to push. But I don't think there's a prayer of seeing the other characters again.
Well, I'm putting it in the solidly debunked category for now. But gentlemen, if we get a cameo of these three, we're making a video about it, and I get to have a cupcake or lasagna. Or maybe even celebratory.
I will send you a pizza gift certificate, bro.
Don't send me celebratory sushi though. I'll buy it myself. Don't send it to me.
Because you don't want truck stop sushi.
No. You do not. The Little Mermaid and Guardians 3 tank and box office projections, but the Mermaid cringe goes deep. And gentlemen, although it's not in the title, I do remember what the scoop, the leak was on this, and that was that they were basically dropping the toys. And in this past Christmas season, did you guys see any of the Halle Bailey Little Mermaid toys out?
Nope. You know what I also didn't see?
I bet you didn't see Captain Marvel.
Well, I did see that, but anyway. But as far
Where did you see Captain Marvel? What store was carrying? What store had Captain
I saw
Marvel?
The film. I didn't see the toys. No, but I will say
I'm talking about toys. Yeah.
No. The refresh for the Little Mermaid that's being done in the animation courtyard at Hollywood Studios is the old Little Mermaid, and they didn't, as of this point in time, update Little Mermaid attractions at either Disney World or at Disney's California Adventure. So.
Correct, and I would say, Culture, that the reason that they delayed telling us anything about this reopening of the Little Mermaid, the little theater show, I think is because they didn't know what to do with the backlash. They would have loved to have made the announcement 6 months ago with the release of a new movie, because that would have garnered intense coverage and excitement. And I think they got really, really nervous because of how badly the movie was accepted. I don't think it has anything to do with race. I think it has everything to do with a terrible piece of art, a technically terribly flawed movie that Disney then used race as a shield in their marketing. And all of that is bad.
And it didn't work because internationally the film was widely rejected, and here in the United States it was received just mediocre response, and to the point where everybody was willing to say this was not a great replacement for the animated version, which is what they try to do with the live action films.
Marvel panics over Guardians of the Galaxy box office drop. Is this an MCU disaster in the making? Guys, are we in an MCU disaster at this point?
Yeah.
We are, but Guardians is the only film that they had in the last year that technically made a profit that I'm aware of.
Yes, and I agree with that.
Slim, yes, I agree. It's tiny, but it's the only thing that they could possibly try to brag about. It's the only one that I don't remember hearing actually a lot of complaints about the movie.
So I gave it an 8 out of 10. I think it's a good movie. It's difficult for people to watch if you have any kind of
animal stuff.
Yeah, quibbles with that's tough to watch, and I don't know that it's rewatchable very easily. All of that said, what we were reporting there was that internally Marvel was deeply worried because the drop off was not holding in the way that Guardians movies in the past had, and so the fear was that if that's the case, if you release a movie such as the Marvels later on, and it doesn't have that huge opening, and it has a similar trajectory, you're in an unsustainable situation where you're never going to make a profit again. And
did that happen?
Oh well, it was even worse. Yes, the Marvels. Yeah, I would say the Marvels was a much worse situation.
So any panic would be justified. So I think that's well enough to say, yeah, that's.
Well, and let's track back. So wasn't there like an Ant-Man film that showed up somewhere along the way?
Yes, Quantumania back in late January, early February.
Yeah, that was prior to this rumor, though, right?
Right. No, it was. So this was the only good-looking thing this year for Marvel.
Right, and I think that's why they were so nervous is when it did not follow the typical AAA trajectory of a Marvel film, that's when they said, "Uh-oh, if Guardians can do this, then we're not looking at something that affects only our bad films. This may be an overall audience reaction to our franchise as a whole." And I think that's what really concerned them, and validly so now. X-Men in question. Marvel's MCU may use the writer's strike to rethink big plans as Guardians grows. Culture, what have we found out recently in regards to what they were doing about this time in summer regarding the X-Men?
Well, I think behind the scenes, in the quiet and in the dark, they were rethinking how to not have Kang Dynasty. I think they were looking at a different direction, and I think they were also at the same time getting a lot of negative feedback about getting rid of the X-Men and calling them the mutants or the X-them, or there were a whole lot of things going around in the background, and they were like, well, we need to step away from the superheroes that we're destroying and look for some other superheroes to destroy. Let's look at the X-Men.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Guys, what do you think? Should we put this in the corroborated category, or is this not confirmed?
I'd call it confirmed because I think that they are in the middle of trying to figure out what do we do now. Obviously, that's with Kang falling apart, they have to take some other direction, and that's likely going to involve they have to bring in new heroes. It's either going to be the X-Men or the Fantastic Four. X-Men probably makes more sense to start with.
It seems to me too that the Loki ending, for the way that ended, I think that was done to give them an out. They knew they needed an out with Kang. And it's hard to see that any other way now.
And they needed it to be not definitive, just in case things went the other way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Panic for Disney. Marvel, Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, and animated movies face sink or swim decision. Gentlemen, I think this has been muted because this was a video that covered if the strikes didn't end by a particular time, then these movies were going to have to be moved way out of their time slots, their release dates. That is somewhat true, but the strikes did end quickly enough that Disney was able to at least save and salvage some bit of 2024. But that's what that video was about. The strikes ended on time, so I think this is something that it was based on a condition that did not happen. Is that okay?
Sure.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know what to do with it because it was saying in a hypothetical world where the strikes go on until 2024, then all the slate is emptied out. So, the Disney lawsuit worth billions of dollars, how Disney World's Florida nightmare scenario happened. This was our first detailing of how much the Disney lawsuit was, how much damage this could do now. According to Andrew of Legal Mindset, this could be $1 trillion impact on Disney. Gentlemen, confirmed, unconfirmed? What do you think?
Well, I think most of the legal stuff has come out to be true. And in fact, more extensive, I think, than we originally thought. And so I think you'd have to put this in confirmed.
Yeah, I think the audits kind of like not only confirmed this, but gave us a whole other paths of illegal activity. I think I've counted to date about 23 different things that are no bueno. So,
Ray movie delayed. When was the Ray movie supposed to originally come out, guys?
It's moved a bit, and
I think it was supposed to come out in 2025, right?
Yeah, I think that's right. That because we were first talking about it. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
And so now 2026 is what I've heard recently, but I can't confirm that. They don't have the actual date, so I think this is still true, but I can't confirm it yet. Unless you guys have heard otherwise.
No, but the production is supposed to start in April of next year, is my understanding.
So that's actually been pushed back. We now expect Ray to go into production in the latter half of the summer of 2024.
Okay, so that may push it back even more. Disney seems to want to operate on a 2-year cycle to get these produced, so that would make 26 the logical conclusion. I think they would be wiser to go back to the original 3-year gap that George used to work in, but they seem to want to get these out on a 2-year schedule.
And my suggestion would be they will try to put this at the same kind of Christmas success slot. The end of the year, the winter slot, in 2025, but I won't object to what you're saying, Lauren. It may be 2026.
Let's put it in the plausible. We don't know yet. We'll come back to this. We'll revisit it in the future. Disney too big to fail. The reported belief of Walt Disney execs, as Bob Iger has another terrible report. Guys, I don't know how we determine if the execs at Disney actually truly 100% believe they're too big to fail, but has there been any kind of public proclamation, any kind of actions on the behalf of Disney that later on has proven that they think they're too big and they just can't be taken down?
They made a whole lot of lip service. They haven't taken a whole lot of action. They seem to be interested in continuing to do what they've been doing and hoping that nobody notices.
They've done a great job of preserving their bonuses.
That is true. They have done a good job on that. Let's put this in plausible, if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah.
Everybody happy?
Yeah.
Kathleen Kennedy is mentoring Dave Filoni on Ahsoka. Leslie Headland turned Star Wars into propaganda. Lauren, I turn this to you, based on what we know now.
I don't know how much Kathleen Kennedy would be mentoring Dave Filoni. I don't know that she gets in that deep to that kind of thing, but she certainly elevated him, and he is certainly buying into the type of storytelling that she's interested in doing. And we already know what's going on with the Acolyte and Leslie Headland, so I would definitely call this confirmed.
And I would say that given that Dave Filoni was elevated to the second highest level at Lucasfilm after this came out, I can't see how that happened without Kathleen Kennedy having been a part of it. So we can call it mentorship or whatever we want to call it. But
I would say that Dave's the acolyte. Come on.
And the other thing I would say is that there were a lot of rumors going on all over the place that, there was Jon Favreau. He was going to be the guy. And you'll notice as we go through these that we've been very consistent here that Dave Filoni was the one being positioned, mentored in all of this. That's not because we wanted to report that. Quite the opposite. But it's what we were hearing. It's what we told and tried to keep people ahead of the culture.
And I would say some of that is also our natural instinct to understand that Favreau became a mercenary after they destroyed his structure for his shows.
Yep. Disney box office woes grow even as major Luke Skywalker rumor confirmed. Cobwebbed success for Iger. I don't know what this one was saying. This doesn't seem to me like a new rumor. It seems like it's a cobwebbed, or it seems like the cobwebbed story was confirmed to some degree. But I think that it's heavily connected with the one that follows, the Luke Skywalker controversy. The Den of Nerds says more Luke is coming, and I said that was cobwebbed. Now, since then, we have not had any Luke. We've had no cameos from Luke. But there were rumors that we were going to get a new Luke show. That's what that was all about. The Den of Nerds, who, by the way, we love and we enjoy. So we're not trying to call them out here. But they were saying we were going to get a big Luke thing. And, well, that, of course, doesn't happen. And I was saying at the time, no, at best, you're getting a cameo because these characters have been. And by the way, folks, I'll just go ahead and tell you at this point. We had heard this because this is the terminology that was used with Hasbro. Was that, no, when Hasbro was saying you've got to fix this, allegedly, Disney allegedly was saying, no, these are cobwebbed. Like, we will only use them for cameos. They're not going to be the mainline characters going forward.
Yeah, they've tipped their hand here, and there's a small part of me that kind of understands why they're doing it. It's like they've already damaged these characters so badly. Anything that they do could potentially damage them even more. So I think even if they wanted to try and fix it, which I don't think they do, they'd probably be afraid to try and do it because it might be even more radioactive. So I don't think they have any intention of doing anything with Luke in any significant way going forward.
And my argument's going to be that basically there is no more audience for Star Wars. I'm sorry. I mean, your ratings across the board are diminishing. Even the wackadoodle-doo niche audiences that you're making these shows for are, not turning up to watch them. So, I mean, in the days of 3 million people showed up to watch our movie. Okay, but that's not going to make any money. And that's kind of the position Star Wars is in right now. Same thing with the television show. So. Well,
and what I would say too, guys, is that it's still my belief that in the Mandoverse movie, we'll get the three characters. We'll get the original trilogy characters. We'll get Luke, we'll get Han, we'll get Leia in like a brief cameo in a ship, together. for 5-10 seconds or whatever. They'll hug, and then Lucasfilm will say, "See, we gave it to you." And I still think they're dumb enough to do that.
There's no
care,
room.
care to place a small wager on that?
Yeah, I'm willing to bet
bet
another
you,
pizza there.
I'll bet you 6 gas station California roll sushi pieces.
So you're real confident we can tell.
In other words, I'll bet you salmonella.
Yeah, I'm not up for salmonella.
No, let's put a bet on that. Now, in all fun, but we'll figure it out later. We got a lot of ground to cover. But yes, Lauren, and remind me of that the next time we do a video together. We'll tell the audience again right off the bat, and we'll have some fun with that.
All right.
Zelda Explodes, Tears of the Kingdom, doubles Hogwarts Legacy according to Bellwether. NCU coming. This was again declaring that the Nintendo Cinematic Universe, which at the time had not been announced, was coming. Guys, is the NCU on the way?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know that you can dispute that. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. I can't wait. Indiana Jones, the Nag of Destiny. I love that title. Kathleen Kennedy signals she's willing to spoil Indy for clout. Guys, did she spoil Indy?
Yeah.
Did she self-insert yet once again?
Yeah.
And folks, don't forget, coming up in a few days, we're doing a video here. You're not going to believe what James Mangold is saying now. You won't believe it. I mean it. You won't believe it.
Wait a minute. After he lied about not reshooting the ending?
You won't believe it, Culture. I'm telling you. In fact, I'll have you guys on the video if you want to be there with your mouths ajar, because you won't believe what the man is saying about Indiana Jones now. Disney quadruples down on woke goals as company value slides. Iger pays for even more for a division. Guys, has Disney gone even farther woke?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Indisputable.
Yeah, it's the Young Jedi Adventures, I think, tells you all you need to know there.
I think so. And it's so divisive, we can't even mention why it is divisive. So have fun with that. Luke Skywalker removed again as Disney Plus sees vast content cut. Lucasfilm is making a huge mistake. Guys, I don't remember what this one was. Lauren, do you remember this?
No. I can't say that I do. I'm sorry.
I feel like there was something that had Luke in it that they actually cut.
Okay, well,
I can't remember what it was now.
Was this also around the time that they were pulling Star Wars from or the original film so that they could share them with another service, or was that a different story?
I don't remember. I do know that this would have come out. This story would have come out really close to the to Return of the Jedi in theaters. But folks, I apologize. Usually I can remember on these. I don't know that one, and unfortunately, it would take literally 100 hours to go through each and every one of these. So do folks, if you would like to watch that video, go back in the history and watch that one and let us know if it was true or not. And we would appreciate that. The Lucasfilm Disney blacklist. Star Wars Theory claims he's been canceled and tells about George. Guys, that was a rumor that didn't come from us. That's a rumor that comes from Star Wars Theory. He said that he was blacklisted and that Lucasfilm had a blacklist, but it's not ours. So we really can't grade that.
I did go back there and look and see what that video was, just so I could figure it out. It's talking about Filoni's movie involving Thrawn and how it was going to be involving all of the Rebels characters and new characters as opposed to the original heir to the Empire with Luke and Leia and the original conception of those characters.
Well, agreed. We'll leave that where it is for now. Here, gentlemen, this is going to be the most controversial one we have, by far, I think. Kathleen Kennedy may finally exit Lucasfilm. Indiana Jones crashes, Star Cruiser closed, Willow White. And this rumor is that Kathleen Kennedy will exit Lucasfilm by the end of 2024 and probably by the end of October 2024. The reason that this rumor exists on this channel and is the first time, I believe this video was the first time I ever said that Kathleen Kennedy would likely leave in that time span, was because not only the failures, but because we had some sources in and around places that you might associate with one Kathleen Kennedy, and those sources were saying that. I can tell you that those sources still say that. I can also tell you that since then, The one reason that I have my doubts of my own rumor is because should the Walt Disney Company fire, remove, or sunset any major head of a studio at this point, it could spook investors and it could give more credence to Nelson Peltz and his proxy war fight. That's the only reason I can even think of that they still have Kathleen Kennedy in place. But gentlemen, do you think that this should go into the uncorroborated but plausible category, or is it debunked?
It's not debunked because 3 of the 4 things have happened. I mean, obviously, Indiana Jones failed, Star Cruiser did close, and Willow was wiped. All of that's true. Those were probably just stories being reported. The Kathleen Kennedy contract does end in the near future. Will this happen before October? We won't have an answer to this until October 2024. I don't know how we would judge this one.
I think there's 2 factors that'll play into whether it happens or not. The first is, do they have a viable replacement for Kathleen? Does somebody actually want to take the job? And what does happen with the proxy fight? If Peltz wins the proxy fight, I suspect that she will exit as expected. If he doesn't, then I think it's an open question mark. But I don't think anybody's probably happy that she would potentially remain. It just depends on whether they've got anybody that can replace her.
Lauren, would you agree that if we see a cascade of awards and, you know, honorable mention things thrown her direction, that's her grand exit tour?
I will give her my own Woman of the Year award if that's what it takes to boost her out on her keister. So, yes, sure. Give her all the awards you want. I don't care. If that's what it takes to get her to go, I will print a very nice certificate and put it on my YouTube channel.
Did she get a Palme d'Or at Cannes this year?
Harrison Ford did. I don't think she did.
Yeah, you know what I found interesting is that one scene on stage where she wasn't acknowledged at all for any participation in Star Wars.
By Steven Spielberg.
It was lovely.
And you could tell she was anticipating that she would.
It was lovely.
Now, guys, as we continue through these rumors and leaks, what will happen, of course, is we will get into territory where, with the closer the proximity to when these were released, the less and less we're going to be able to confirm these because you need time for these to come true. So I want to do a couple rapid fire and then wrap this up. And we'll give sort of a final score with the ones that we've got from the first at least half of the year for 2023. So Indiana Jones reviews bomb as Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger partied up in France. We were reporting on what we'd heard that Bob Iger was there with Kathleen Kennedy and they partied till 4 a.m. That's confirmed unless you guys have any other reason to, you know, this was reported in the news. What do you guys think? Confirmed?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Indiana Jones reception leaves Harrison Ford emotional and saddened. This is where we were reporting on what we had heard from somebody who was in the theater that day, that Harrison Ford was actually emotionally drained by watching the movie, that it wasn't good. And you could tell he knew it wasn't good. So that's what we reported on. I think video came out later. Folks, it's subjective about why someone is really sad. Guys, plausible or correct?
I'd call it plausible. Publicly, he was complimentary to the film, but this has been his favorite character, and I could see him being emotional in any circumstance at this coming to an end. So I think it's plausible, but I don't think it's confirmed.
Yeah, and I know that there was some reporting around that same idea from one of the English outlets, if not the Daily Mail, like one of the others. It wasn't the Guardian, but it was one of the other UK papers, and I think that possibly this is accurate, but I don't think it's been confirmed.
All right, we'll put it in the plausible category.
But Johnny Depp was at Cannes.
Yeah, well, that was reported well enough. We won't count it as our own.
Oh, okay, all right.
Diversity litmus test. Disney recast Moana, throws away Ali'i Cravalho, and we said, hey, there's a thing here. She's not 100% Polynesian. This might be why. Gentlemen, they did in fact later on not use Ali'i Cravalho, and they named her as a executive producer on it, I think, to smooth it over. But she was kicked out of being the lead role in Moana, even despite Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson coming back as Maui. So,
who is not 100% what?
Polynesian.
Oh,
isn't he partly Puerto Rican as well?
Well, what was his dad? Rocky Johnson.
I'm pretty sure that he's at least part granite.
Okay. I'm just not. Darn you, Lauren. It's the quote of the night. We should wrap there. He's made of the same substance as Chuck Norris's beard. Not yours, Culture. Yours is made out of the finest.
Mine was almost made out
finest
of a bunch of tea a minute ago, but thanks for that, Lauren. Goodness.
Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser closed because Disney is low on cash. Disney digging for Hulu money. Guys, have we found out later on that Disney is, in fact, really struggling to get that money for Hulu?
I think it was reported in the quarterly that they were their cash on hand was dismal, terrifying.
We now anticipate, by the way, that the Hulu purchase will cost them somewhere between $12 billion and $21 billion when all is said and done, for a third of Hulu to finish that off, so they can strap it to Disney Plus. And then finally, Lauren, you get the final say on this one. Culture, weigh in if you wish. This goes back to that big thing, though. Although, man, if we could keep going, Disney legends silenced. The Mouse may be hiring retired legends to silence criticism. Oh, that was a good scoop, and we can't cover it, but it was confirmed just a week ago. Anyway, Kathleen Kennedy likely to leave Lucasfilm next year. Sources and PR disasters point to exit. This was, again, coverage of more rumors that we were hearing that Kathleen Kennedy would leave in 2024. Lauren, I'm going to look awful foolish if that doesn't happen in 2024. So hold me accountable on it. I will admit if we were wrong, but what do you think, Lauren? Plausible, I assume?
Well, yeah, it's plausible. I don't know if I'm the right person to call this one, though, because I'm so close to it. I want it to be true, and it's difficult to be objective. Depending on when Acolyte comes out, may have something to do with this as well. It really depends on whether she continues to remain quiet as she's being right now, whether they can find somebody to replace her, and what happens with the proxy fight. I think it's plausible. I don't think we have a way to confirm it.
And folks, we would love to continue on. You can see we've got the Disney Legend Silence. You can see that we were talking about Indiana Jones' new ending. We were talking about that new ending that they had done, not the Doomcock rumor, a separate rumor about Marion, which was later confirmed. We would love to keep going through all of this. Unfortunately, time is not on our side. It would take us many hours to get through all of it. But we do hope that you've enjoyed us auditing more than half the year. And of course, as we get closer to the end of the year in terms of these videos, the less and less we're going to be able to confirm them because, again, you need that time. I also want to say a huge thank you to Lauren and to Culture Casino for donating so much of their time to doing this for us. It is immensely helpful. We have asked them both to be more critical than they typically would be because we want to give you all the most honest and thorough audit of this. Guys, in finality here, I can tell you that we had, adding this up, we had, 19, 24, 29, 34, 38 in the first 7 months of the year, 38 rumors or scoops that were true, and we had 7 which did not come true. Or excuse me, we had 3 that did not come through. So what did we say, 37? 37 that were true. We had 3 that did not come true, and we had 9 that were plausible. So that's the final tally. 37 true, 3 that were not true, and 7 that were plausible. That's the track record for the first 7 months. Folks, we'll include the later half of 2023 when we audit the next time, probably at the end of 2024. We hope you've enjoyed it. And folks, we hope that we've done a good job keeping you ahead of the culture curve. Lauren, Culture, final thoughts on, tell us what your favorite scoop of the year was, please.
For me, it's probably got to be the Rey movie, partially because I got to see the look on Coach's face when we brought that in, and also because I think everybody thought we were full of it when that came out.
They thought I was crazy. They thought, this idiot, he said this. Nobody is agreeing with this, and he's going to be proven wrong in 2 weeks. What an idiot. In fact, we saw that all over the internet, people saying, this pro guy, a new channel, he's an idiot.
Yeah, that's my favorite of the year. Of course, it's Star Wars. That's kind of my thing. But I think for me, that was the most fun one to cover.
Culture, yours?
Wow, it's really hard to disagree with Lauren because I really think he's right. I think that was probably the most impressive. But I think the second most impressive thing was when we were dead certain, and there were a lot of us that were dead certain that they had to do a lot of reshoots. And refilm the ending of Indiana Jones 5. I still think that one's the biggest kick in the pants outside of the Star Wars one, because the Rey movie, that was devastating to me. I don't think I've ever been hit harder by anything than that particular story. And it was true 2 weeks later, and my goodness. But
and to clarify, because sometimes it is confusing, folks, the Doomcock rumor was that there were many different, well, basically that Indiana Jones was scrapbooked, and that it was a time traveling movie, and that old Indy and new Indy came together. We found out later that all that was true, and they changed so much in the end edit. So, he had that completely right. Our reporting was different than that. What we were reporting at the time was that they had, in a hurry, brought Marion into the very end of the movie to try to save it at the end, and that had been the final thing filmed. We found out later that we believe that was filmed in February. The movie was released in Cannes in early June? So, I mean, that we know now from Harrison Ford. He confirmed later on that that was the last thing he filmed. And so, it was emotional for him. So, two different rumors, but yeah, that was fun. And guys, I will say that my favorite rumor, well, I've got two, if I can cheat. The first one was day one, we announced that the Harry Potter reboot and recast was coming.
Oh, that's true.
There was no reason for people to think that was going to happen. We have a source, and I wish that we had heard from this source recently. I wish him very well, but he had sent that, and that really was the takeoff point for the channel. I just can't say. The fact that we knew that, it flabbergasted people. But the most fun I've had is reporting on the Nintendo Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
Because I'm really excited. And that I get so tired of covering negative stuff, but Disney doesn't give me anything good to cover. And the Nintendo Cinematic Universe, I can't wait to cover positive movies and for us all to fanboy about it. I think there's a Super Punch-Out movie on the way. I think that it's going to feature the trainer more than the little boxer, Little Mac. And I can't wait to cover that. It's going to be so much fun. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Lauren, I know you've got to run. You're going to be recording a video with the Genre Guys for member-exclusive content here on the channel. Everybody is loving those videos. Folks, you have to check it out. If you're not yet a member, consider becoming a member. For the price of a soda per month, you can be one, and you can watch those fabulous, fabulous conversations along with even more stuff. But folks, check out Lauren Connor and Culture Casino on their respective YouTube channels, as well as on thatparkplace.com. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you've enjoyed it. Like, share, subscribe. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, keep having fun. And everybody out there, Happy New Year. We hope it's wonderful.
Huh. Hey, Floral. I just wanted to let you know I have a New Year's resolution.
Okay.
Although, I don't want to say it. It might be like a wish. If I speak it, I'll break it.
Usually a resolution is spoken out loud so you can be held accountable to it. Like, my resolution is to go to thatparkplace.com and be ready to see its new facelift, and to make sure I'm always subscribed to guys like Jonas and Pro, Culture Casino, Lorena Creole, John Trent, all of them.
Well, I actually got Slade Wilson to also make a resolution.
What's that?
I'd get in too much trouble if I repeated it. He took it way further than I feel comfortable repeating.
Well, that's probably a good call. But, what's yours?
It's not to say anything mean about Jonas.
How do you plan to do that? You're an idiot.